Rachel's on the phone. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Mike Malloy. I'm so happy to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to talk to you. We haven't chatted since, oh my God, I think it was Seattle right before you got the gig with MSNBC. How are you doing?
I am surprisingly okay. Although, you can probably hear the printer running behind me. We've had a big shake-up here at MSNBC tonight. That's a horrible pun to use by accident, but in covering the breaking news out of Haiti, I'm going to be live for the second for what usually is the replay of my show during an hour of breaking news on the earthquake situation there. Which the more we learn about it, the more horrible it is. So that's what Kathy said. I realize we don't have a lot of time. My daughter, Libby, who is your number one fan, sent me an email and said, "Why can't Keith cover the earthquake?" Tell her to call Keith, not me.
Right, exactly. I don't know where to start. I don't have a whole lot of stuff to get into with you. I have to say that your program gets a tremendous amount of positive comment here on the Malloy Show. People, I borrow and steal from you all the time, and from Oberman. I just think that you're doing a tremendous job. I love your program. I think you have one of the, if not the best program, and don't say anything, on television. It's a great show, and congratulations on doing what you're doing. They must give you a certain amount of freedom to do the subjects and the topics and the interviews that you do, right?
Yeah, it's been a surprise to me, too, but I sort of made clear very early on when I first started talking with them about doing a show that it was only valuable to me if I had editorial control, and it just hasn't been an issue. They've let me do what I want, even, when I want to do a whole hour on Afghanistan or I want to cover Uganda 20 days in a row. They've been okay with it. So I'm hoping that I've established that ground rule, and that's the way it's going to be. I don't think this would be a job worth doing if you couldn't say what you wanted to say.
Yeah, that's true. And to have editorial control of your program, when you and I both worked at Air America, I think that was one of the things that we stipulated even back then. Yeah, you've got to be able to do what you do without any kind of, within reason. I mean, you have to stay within the boundaries of broadcast standards and practices, but to be able to do the kind of program that you choose to do is so necessary. This book, Game Change, in the short amount of time we have, is this not a mind scrambler or what?
I resist personal information about public figures and news. I resist that. It's not the thing that I'm into. On the other hand, when we have at least reportedly intimate information about the way these decisions went down, and they're so much worse than we ever knew before.
Oh, my God.
It's really, it is valuable to know that John McCain did not care that Sarah Palin didn't know why there was a North and South Korea. Yeah, Matt Lauer's interview with him this morning, where McCain just said, I don't care about the selection process, how they came up with Sarah Palin. That's at the very best spin on that. That is an extremely cavalier attitude on the part of McCain to pick someone to be the proverbial heartbeat away from the presidency, whose selection he didn't care about. He's a 72-year-old cancer survivor picking a vice presidential nominee. He's the only person who gets to pick her. Nobody gets to vote on her in a standalone way. He picked her for the country without bothering to figure out why she didn't know what the Fed was. Yeah. Here's another one for you. Did you ever, in your wildest imagination, think that Ted Olson and David Boies would be working the same side of the street? I know. And it was apparently initiated by Olson. Olson is the one who called David Boies and said, "Hey, do you want to work on this case with me?" That surprises me. I don't, I got put off about Ted Olson a long time ago when I believe he was Solicitor General at one time, right? Yeah, during the first Bush term. He was the whole post 9/11 everything. Right. And he was even the keep under God in the Pledge of Allegiance Solicitor General. Right. So how does this guy come down on the side of civil rights in California fighting against this Prop 8? I don't quite get this. Do you? What's your insight on? That's why I wanted. I mean, I had him on the show tonight, and that was my first question. I was like, "Yeah, I understand your legal arguments and everything, but what's up, man? Like, why you? Why did you come to this?" Right. And he made a very sober, lawyerly argument about how he thinks it's the right thing to do. I still don't have personal insight into where it came from, but I will tell you that it's the cover story in Newsweek. It's the conservative case for gay marriage. It's not written about Ted Olson. It's written by him. Mm-hmm. I think it is the definitive argument on same-sex marriage. And the fact that it's written by a conservative sort of political icing, but he destroys the case against gay marriage being legalized. Absolutely destroys it. I feel like it's a total game changer how good that argument is. And I've not been a fan of the stances that he's taken over his political career, but boy, he's a guy who's nice to have on the right side of things if you feel like this is where he should
I wonder
go.
why he would be so dedicated to this particular case when his stance on human rights in general or just that whole right-wing agenda seems very counterintuitive that Ted Olson would get involved like this. I just wonder what is in his heart about this.
And I asked and didn't get insight. I mean, I got an argument and not an expression. But there's definitely, I mean, when he first said that he was going to do this, people were so suspicious of his motives that they thought maybe he's bringing this up as a federal court case because he knows if it goes to the Supreme Court, it'll get definitively banned. He's doing a reverse here. But I don't think that's it.
Well, I will see your interview with him after midnight tonight. I record your program because, you come on during my first hour. It's all I can do to watch Keith interview or hand it off to you. And then I've got to go live. Is the health insurance reform idea, is it dead?
No, I don't think it's dead.
What's keeping it alive?
I think that the Democrats will pass something and call it reform. I think.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, is the dream of health reform dead? No. Is the dream of health reform wounded? Yes. But I do think that the Democrats politically have to pass something and call it reform and declare victory, and it better happen before the State of the Union. So they can't go this far and then not cross the finish line. Something will pass, and then it's going to be a matter of people taking policy seriously and prioritizing policy over just partisan politics. Not the sense that we all need to get along, but in the sense that people need to worry about something other than elections. They need to worry about that legislation getting better over time after it passes initially, or we're going to have something that's called reform that isn't.
So you're not, I've gotten to the point, let me preface it by saying I've got to the point where I guess I've become so cynical about how that debate, so-called, wound around the country last summer and how it's been attacked by members of Congress, Republicans and then Democrats, that I've just pretty much given up hope that any kind of consequential or substantial health insurance reform can ever come to pass. You still hold out the hope.
I do. And I think that to the extent that the federal government is going to take responsibility for whether or not people have health coverage, if the federal government takes responsibility, that is it's a change in the relationship of people and government. And this is, I think, where the Tea Partiers are right to be freaked out about it, because they are right. That is the government, for the first time ever, taking responsibility for people at large, not just specific groups of Americans, being covered. And that is a new floor from which you build up. And that it is, I think it is an ideological advance in terms of what the social contract is in this country.
I hope you're right, and that these dark thoughts I have will fly away and go someplace.
I love your dark thoughts. We all love you for your dark thoughts.
Were the suits at NBC prepared for your success, do you think?
I think the suits at NBC felt like they stumbled upon me, and then of course once you succeed, everybody takes credit for having discovered you. But it was Keith Olbermann who discovered me. I mean, Keith asked me to be a guest host on his show when nobody had any idea why he was doing that or thought that I could do it, and I got sort of surprisingly good ratings when I did that. And once they saw numbers, and then Keith very kindly went on vacation for 2 weeks last summer and left me in control of his show, and the numbers held. It was just a matter of them just pulling the trigger, but it really was Keith. And anybody else who takes credit for it is I am flattered, but it's not true.
Well, the camera loves you. There are people who get onto television who may be very talented, but they don't have, I guess in the industry they call it the Q factor. They don't have that Q factor. You have both. You've got that amazing ability to make things that normally would be incoherent very coherent. And that's difficult to do with the camera on you unless the camera likes you. And you have both. I swear to God you do. It's just amazing. I remember when you subbed for Oberman, and I was kind of surprised because you and I have spent a little time together out on the talk radio circuit and had breakfast with your parents and stuff like that, who I'm sure they're very proud of you. But to see you step into the role that you've now stepped into and the way you've built that program, good Lord, Rachel, you are doing an excellent job. That's all. I just had to say that. I'm not, I believe a hero ain't nothing but a sandwich, but you're one of mine.
You're incredibly kind. Thank you.
All right, listen.
I'm happy to be on the show. Thanks.
Back to it. I hope the stories out of Haiti aren't too horrifying. Thanks for taking a moment out to talk with us, Rachel.
Appreciate it, Mike. Great to talk.
All right, take care. Take care.